record. All right, we are live with Alex, who looks like the villain from Casino Royale. If you start bleeding from your left eye, then we'll know. What was the guy's name? You look very nice. You look very nice, very suave. Listen, I'm going to turn it over to you because that's what we're doing today. We'd love to get your take on the market, on Bitcoin and specific altcoins. And just as a quick FYI from me, as I mentioned in the last newsletter, Nadia pulled a Prussian. She mentioned that this could get as low as, this could wick down under 40, but that the first week of February, we're back in business and nothing has changed in terms of the fundamentals. The market is Bitcoin and the markets are still strong. That's the basic message astrologically. But I'd love to hear what the TA has to say. So I'm going to shut up, turn it over to you, Alex, and I'm going to let you share your screen here.
Okay. Just a confirmation, Simon, do you see my screen now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you are seeing my chart posted in March on Twitter feed.
Yes.
Okay, so hi guys, Happy New Year first, all the best in 2022. I will start with a little bit of backdrop, and this is not by ramping the usual narrative, I told you so, or something like that. This is just about the methodology in a sense of the scientific approach that I tend to take in regards of these forms and patterns. And this is about this Elliott wave methodology and what actually it does portray in regards of forms that market psychology can take. Okay, so for my point of view, as I expressed here, I think before when I participated frequently in the Simon classes, is that already in March I was looking this structure forming, and since we have a classical 5-wave pattern in the Elliott wave methodology, and we have a standard, some of the Fibonacci ratios, where some of this type of expansion of the price rise can expand. I was looking this rise on the upside and actually saw that we are approaching a couple of very strong Fib ratios, and we have a couple of them. And the first one was around 74K. And market was, and the sentiment of the market was very bullish. I'm deliberately saying the sentiment because in the tonight presentation, the sentiment will play a big role. And actually sentiment is just describing the swing of the polarity between the very bullish narrative to very bearish narrative. And I will explain you why this sentiment is very important. This was in March of 2021, and in my crypto labs on the YouTube, I have been pretty much consistent in saying that the Bitcoin will not go above 74K. We came to 65K. I missed this target by a very small margin, but in general, 99% of the market was looking for 100 and 200K. And this Fibonacci ratio was actually telling me that most likely this biggest expansion that we saw from this 2020 March COVID low is about to end. And I was pretty much on the other side of almost everybody in the crypto space. And let's review how this actually unfolded. I will use a couple of charts to demonstrate that. And of course, I'm gonna mention especially sentiment, because this will be very important in the next couple of weeks. As we are seeing now, the crypto community is changing its bullish sentiment to a bearish one. So we already crossed a neutral stance. And as I'm tracking what the other people are saying regarding the crypto space, some of them more knowledgeable, some of them really like publicity marketing things in the YouTube. I don't look that more for information, but just to measure the outside sentiment. Okay, so the sentiment is turning bearish, and I will explain you at what point this sentiment, when the things are becoming very black, might turn on the other side. Like here, it turned actually lower, while the sentiment was very hyped up on the upside. So for me, generally, bear market started in March in 2021. I had a little bit of doubts, to be completely honest, when we had this move down to 30K and we started to climb on the upside. I was just wondering if this is the lesser degree, which means that this wave 3 might go a little bit more upside. And technically, you cannot know in the Elliott wave. It's the question of the one who is behind the wheel, and you really need to have a very big experience and knowledge of the details to discern that type of things. But to me, very clearly, after a couple of weeks of that upside development, I was looking for another reversal, which happened recently when the market was starting to call 100K for the end of the year. Okay, I didn't use any astrology predictions. I'm not an expert in astrology. That's more in the Simon's and Nadia realm. I do know Western astrology. I have a basic knowledge of the astrology. But the one thing that I started to look is how to kind of combine these two. And this is relatively, I think, difficult without a lot of work, because we need to find the strength of the planets, their positions, and the aspects to match up the Elliott wave counts, which needs a lot of work of cross-referencing and checking the history. Okay, so in that respect, I was trying to follow my primary suspicion that this bull trend will continue, and as we see, it didn't. So in that respect, I was looking for some type of the consolidation in the wave 4. So I still think, and I'm still standing, and I do announce that publicly through my YouTube channels and presentations, that I think that this bull market is still not done. I was already depicting this as a consolidation before the new bull run on the upside. So let me be clear for the beginning. I don't see for now any developments that will point that we are going lower drastically, and that actually this bull trend is finished. I don't think so it's finished. I think we are just in this consolidation, and that we are going to continue higher. Okay, so let me just go to a couple of charts in regards of the Bitcoin. So I will first look the something which I also presented here, and that is the crypto total market cap. We were looking these developments if we are going to break on the upside. We didn't, and we started to move on the downside. This chart is basically same as a Bitcoin chart. So I'm still going to go with the triangle. Triangles are in the cheat sheet of the whole of the Elliott wave patterns, or behind psychology of investors, in the collective unconsciousness of this planet, let's say. Triangles depicts indecisive sideways consolidation, which actually looks like this. And I was suspecting that we are going to get something like that in this wave 4, because we have something which is called a guideline. It's not a rule, but it's a guideline of alternation, which actually says when you have the second wave so directional and so sharp, as it should be, because people here who were buying here are still not 100% sure the new trend and upside started, so they initiate a new selling, but we actually sell up to one point, not on the new low, and then a new uptrend will develop. And this guideline of alternation is saying actually that the fourth wave consolidation should be very complex and sideways in nature. And vice versa, when you have a complex and sideways nature of the second wave, then you have a consolidation which is more simple and less time than here in the fourth wave. In this case, this is the first one. So we had a sharp consolidation, and then if you consider this from the perspective of somebody who is running a marathon, and it's going, he's started his actually track here, and then he took a little bit of rest, and then he ran pretty sizably on the upside. He needs to take another pause to kind of rest a bit more before the final push on the upside. And this is a way how you can describe these pauses that the market takes, usually takes a kind of a breather to find the energy from the fundamental or technical side to continue in the direction of trend. And I'm just explaining psychologically what these corrections actually mean. And the corrections are usually points where you want to be aware what is going on, because in one moment they will finish and the new bull trend will start. So for now, on the total crypto market cap, I will have the same outlook. There is one more form which might surprise us, and I will came up to that, but there is also a larger possibility. I think this is unfolding. And actually, if you look the Bitcoin chart, we have something which we called a time ratio. Really experienced Elioticians are using this type of analysis. And this is the guideline of the right look, which actually says that the consolidation and the time dimension of the correction in the wave 2 will actually be the similar or bigger in the wave 4. So as you can see here, we spent some time making this correction, and we also are spending time in this consolidation, and we are already above equality, or the time spent here in the wave 2 and the time spent here in the wave 4. So we are already past equality. This time dimension was due at 31st of December, and we already passed that without any significant sorry, reversal. So in that respect, there is a couple of other time ratios that we will look potentially to play out. So if you look the structure of the presented form, I think we are in some type of the C wave down, and wedges, usually technically known as wedges or triangles, you can see them on many markets unfolding as a potential pause. So we have a kind of a 5 legs on the upside and on the downside in a sideways manner. And once this consolidation is finished, we are going to continue in the previous trend. So these patterns have a specific task to get out or to sort out a pretty large number of traders which actually don't know what is going on. Okay, so they're going to purge actually the market participants which do not anticipate something like this. For example, if you went long here, the market went short, and then while you're losing your funds, you say, okay, maybe this is a trend reversal, then you go short and it turns and goes long, and then you start to position yourself again on the bullish side, then it's again turning downside. And in this kind of hamster roller coaster, many people are actually taking the completely wrong side of the market and losing much of their capital and patience to actually stay on this particular trend, which then may be embarked before. So this pattern exactly do that to these market participants, and it is necessary to have a pretty sizable amount of patience how to deal with them. Usually I do not trade these patterns at all. I might sometimes short-term trade these small patterns inside, which also can be very complex. So I do recommend for many people to stay out of it if they don't have a significant set of skills in their pockets and experience. So for now, I'm just waiting this to unfold and trying to follow it and position myself and looking what is going on. And when the sentiment starts to be actually very bearish, that will be the time when the markets will turn on the upside in the case of this form. So let's examine this form on the Bitcoin in a little bit more details. So as I said, some of the two time ratios which I have, and one particular might be 1618, which is a golden ratio. And then that might unfold around May of 2022. We might have a move upside from February in the D wave. So that will correspond with this upside movement potentially when the astrological situation might be better for the upside, and then we might roll down a little bit more before we complete this structure and continue on the upside. So there is very two key support and resistance levels here. The one is 40K. As you can see, we stopped many times at the 40K, which is a very strong support levels. Also, when you look and when you see the support level around the 30K, it is one of the very strong and I think strongest supports I have seen so far, because in the many of the instances we were not able to get below it. This is the weekly chart. So if I turn to daily, you will see how many times we started to go through the 30K and we was not able. So that's usually depicts in technical analysis a very strong support, as this one in a 40K. So some of the older TIA or technical analysts are looking this as a head and shoulder. I don't use that much because it is one of the sections which Elliott wave covers. So let's say this is the head and shoulder, then the we will
Alex,
have.
we're not seeing the chart. We're not seeing the chart. We're seeing the PDF, the triangle contracting.
Okay, sorry. Let me see what's going on. Okay, do you see chart now?
Yes, it's back up. Thank you.
Okay. So in that sense, somebody is observing this as a head and shoulder. Okay, this is the 30K and 40K, the two mentioned supports. And as I said in the introductory, I do think this is just some type of a consolidation before we go on the upside. So there is a couple of older TA instruments or kind of techniques. You can look this 200 moving average, which lots of market participants are looking. We are actually trading now below 200 moving average on the daily level. But what is interesting, if you look this weekly chart and the previous happenings in the Bitcoin from already 2014, this was pretty much consistent of keeping the Bitcoin to move to the downside. So if you look here in 2015, after this correction, Bitcoin was unable to actually further continue to the downside. You have a couple of more instances here, especially at that one in post 2017 and end of 2018 lows. You have another one in 2020 with a small piercing to the downside, which is a completely normal thing with we call it a false breakout. And now if we get something as exuberant on the downside, which is one more form that I'm looking to potentially happen if we break 30K, this actually moving average will come between 20 and 22K. So this is also one of the observations that should be taken into account. And actually this form, if you see it, because I don't know if this is usually switching between the screens, so please tell me if you're seeing your the cheat sheet or the forms.
No, we're still on the
So yeah, so there is something between this share, so I'm gonna I'm going to change it again just to show you this form for any case. I don't think actually this is unfolding. I'm just showing you something which might be also the case, but for now, I like to be conservative. I don't like to be very bearish in the sentiment. But this is also a possibility which I need to warn you in the case we are seeing something like this unfolding. This is called a flat expanded. And actually what will happen here, and I will show you that again on the chart, it will be just additional thing, and I will especially show you the signs if something like this happens so you can follow it. Okay, so let me just switch again to charts, and that will be actually this form, and that will match with this 200 moving average on weekly. So as you can see, also the RSI, which matched perfectly these lows on the weekly chart. As you can see here, I was talking about this many times, that you should observe these higher time frames RSIs. Still have a little bit more to the downside, as you can see. We had something like this repeating here to a larger extent, but then we had the breakdown to the downside towards these 3330 levels on this low, and potentially the same thing might happen here, that we're going to roll down in this RSI, reaching some of these lows before the new uptrend starts. Okay, so in this case, potentially we might have this flat actually appearing on the Bitcoin chart, and that will actually look like this. We will move a little bit more downside the fourth wave, and I will also tell you where we are going to be very sure what is going on. So this will be the flat. I already, I think, showed you the cheat sheet, and this is consisted by the wave A up in B and 5 waves down in C, which might look something like this as an impulsive structure unfolding. You might have a little bit more pullback. Soon pullback might go up to 46, not above that, and then you should see a wave 3, 4, 5, which will give you the same mentioned form for a flat, and in that case the pattern will be over, matching this weekly 200 moving average, also matching this RSI on the downside. And also one of the very important thing I might add is 38% retracement levels exactly at 22K. So usually when we look these fourth wave corrections, we are looking for two Fibonacci ratios. One of them is 38.2%, which is statistically, by measuring hundreds of charts for 50 years, was actually the most appeared ratio for the wave 4. Okay, when you see the ratio of 23.6%, that usually depicts a triangle, as you can see here. So for this triangle wave count, it is very important we hold these two key support levels. And when we are going to know 90% of probability which type of these forms are unfolding, we will know when we see this bounce on the upside. Okay, so this bounce in D wave will actually tell us exactly and confirm the form that we are now currently. Okay, so I'm gonna just round it up. I still think we are in the bull run. I just think this is just a pause of a year, resting from this move on the upside. There is nothing here indicating that this was a shorter term pause and this is the all-time high. So usually, as I said, these pauses are very similar in guideline of alternation and the right look and the time dimension, which I already showed. But I'm just suspecting I will stay for a triangle now, which the lows might be around 33, 35K. And if we see at the end of the February or beginning of the February move up in 3 waves, that will be a definite sign that we will have a little bit more downside. This 40K will play immense role in keeping this consolidation with a little bit of elasticity as a gravity point, and then we will start with a 5 wave smaller time frame move on the upside, small pullback, and a continuation towards 100K and above. So in the case of the flat, which I already mentioned, as you can see it here, we will have a more downside. I will just mention that the latest developments in the stock market, 180 degrees turnaround from the Fed. I don't think Fed is going to hike 3 times in 2022. They have to hike 1 time, that's for sure, because they're committed now. I don't even think they will manage to hike 2 times. Okay, at highest point, they will manage to sneak in 2 rate hikes in the different periods of 2022. But there is several of other indications that we might be going towards correction in the stock market. And in that case, if we start really to dive down in the stock markets in regards of this interest rates moving on the upside, which is always negative for the growth stock because the companies are using and burning much of the cash for their growth. And the expensive money will definitely endanger their future cash flows. And what you're seeing trading in the stock market, you're not seeing trading currently. You are seeing actually the 6 months in advance trading. So the very sophisticated funds, pension funds, and investors are not trading current price. They're trading the 6 months to 1 year monetary policy and actually macro narrative in the future. So you have to know that what is going on now, they're pricing in the future events. And that is very kind of a nice way to look on that perspective. So if we see most kind of a sharp reversal in stocks, I will not be so timid to present you as well with this option, which will actually give a perfect bull entry. And can you imagine how many sentiment of the Bitcoin will become and how the sentiment will be negative if we come to here? And usually this lowest point of negativity in the sentiment, like you have seen here, which was the highest point of the positivity in the sentiment, where actually Bitcoin truthfully roll over because nobody knew that this will happen. That might also happen where you see the lowest point of the negativity. Everything starts black. You will see in the news Bitcoin is going to go to 0 or to 10K or to 9K, 5K. You will see different people comes out, and this is all happening mechanically because people are commenting without awareness that the sentiment is taking over, and the whole black kind of scenarios are appearing that the Bitcoin is doomed, crypto markets are doomed, everything is wrong about them, blah, blah, blah. And that will exactly be the point when this sentiment, which is very difficult, actually, you need to watch the news, the crypto markets, what the other people are saying, because they are not aware that actually a sentiment is driving their thought process. And when you can observe that, you will really see that when the things becomes very black, you will see the actually the turnover and the Bitcoin will, as I think, continue to start moving on the upside. And actually, and then what is going on with the sentiment again? People are actually not believing that the sentiment is turning up. They're still here, doesn't believe. They still think here that the sentiment is bearish. We get a small pullbacks. And once here they realize Bitcoin is going to continue on the upside, they actually start to form a very sharp third wave because they're fearing of missing, and they start to buy endlessly Bitcoin or other cryptos on the upside. And that actually forms the third wave on the upside with the institutional investors. You have a small pullback, and then this 5-wave sequence will be completed in a couple of years, where I expect another correction in the Bitcoin towards 24, let's say 25, but let's not go that far. Let's just deal with the current development. So I will end this presentation on the Bitcoin. I hope, Simon, and you correct me, I was relatively clear. How do I treat this correction and how do I think it's going to unfold?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Questions? Feel free to chime in or write in the chat. So basically, let's see, Shakti asks, what kind of market cap would BTC be at 20K?
Yeah, we can look that. BTC around these levels, around 30K and let's say 22, 25K, will be around 400 billion, close to 500 billion. So we are now a little bit below. We are now already at 800. So we will climb down to the support level. I think it was around 400 to 450 billion, roughly. Don't take me as a complete kind of a exact figure, but that will give the market cap some type of a view around 1.3 to 1 trillion, and then we will move and grow immensely upside if we are in this secondary, I will say, a more catastrophic, under the quote marks, scenario. So triangle scenario will take us down to maybe a little bit more, taking a little bit more time. So we might come to 1.6, 1.7 trillion, a little bit below, and then we drag with the time sideways. We go up to 2.26 trillion, we go down a little bit more, and then the trend will continue. So it is going to be very crucial what will happen in the next couple of weeks with the Bitcoin, and what of these forms will actually develop, and this is very visible on the charts if you observe them. So market cap will fall dramatically if we have the other scenario, and if the stock market actually also, there is a possibility that the move down in stock markets might be so drastic that actually we are going to see for the first time flows from the stock market and investors running into the Bitcoin. And don't take me wrongly, but this is also one of the scenarios. If the Fed starts to press and lift rates in a smaller amounts of time, we might see a kind of a 30-40% move lower. I'm still not advocating for that. I'm just saying the possibility. And on the stock markets, if you look, Nasdaq, we don't have any clear clues that the even move down has started. We don't see from these highs a five-way move, which is indication we're going to continue lower. But if this happens, that will be a warning sign that the stocks might undergo a severe correction before we continue higher. So this is pretty much nothing for the stock market. You see, we're just consolidating here. And if we drop a little bit more, we stop here, we continue on the upside. That will actually be also a very relatively good scenario for cryptos. So I'm not seeing cryptos in the bear market, especially with this other couple of charts with Matic, Binance Coin, and lots of others, which are showing a clear pattern that consolidation is unfolding and that we might continue further on the upside. So just be aware that some of these two forms can happen, and that we might be facing with something more exuberant on the downside if the um, if the stocks turns really badly on the downside. Yeah, Ethereum is on the similar pattern. So Ethereum is still also in consolidation. So if you look the chart, it's the same thing. I'm still looking for the same thing of structure. As you can see, we dropped below this 200 moving average on the weekly chart. This is daily. On the weekly, if you look, you will find the same place, pretty down. This is a very drastic 1000 level in Ethereum. So if we get there, that will be a life-changing opportunity actually to buy Ethereum down there if we are in some type of a flat. I really don't think we will get there. But if that happens, I mean, you should have some munition to actually, I mean, because the next bull run will be pretty sizable on the upside in Ethereum, as is in the Bitcoin and the other cryptos. So there is some logic into this, because if you look these market sequences, as market is a living thing, and it's going to wipe out everybody who doesn't deserve to be on this trend on the upside. I mean, that's I maybe sound a little bit more harsh. I have like 15, 20 years of experience in markets, but usually when you don't show patience and respect for markets and all sorts of other things, it will take you down before it starts to move on the upside. I have a numerous examples in my own life when I was trading relatively large amounts of money and lost them. And that's how I learned the most valuable lessons in this type of things. That you have to be very careful, very patient, and observant, and look for every small details if you're doing this type of technical things, and actually try to save your strength while the markets wipes out. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. Many of the retail traders will be wiped out down in this level. And there will be some probably huge institutions starting to buy again here if we get this relatively pretty sizable downside on Ethereum in the same form as in Bitcoin. So we will see something like that, actually pairing this 200 moving average on weekly at the same as in Bitcoin. So we can look also the RSI here, and what can happen here as well. So RSI is still not down, as you can see. Previous lows was also pretty nice flagged about this weekly RSI, and we are not still came to even this point, which was around 39, and let alone the lower one at 33, and we are definitely moving lower. So if we continue but by that pace, moving to these levels, I'm afraid this might be potentially the levels we might get. So I won't be pretty much, as I said, first scenario in this one. I will stay with the triangle wave count, looking for a little bit more kind of a, let's say, consolidation, same as in Bitcoin, because I like to be conservative. I don't like to be that bearish. But we have to agree on one point in regards of the sentiment. If you look the lowest point where the market will kick off and pretty much turn, so bearish sentiment in the crypto market will be this point on these levels on the downside. So that will be really the extreme point where market can take us and actually paint the black color all over the crypto market, and that will actually be the time to establish new positions in the other direction. So all what we are trying to do with this type of technical scenario is to measure these polarity swings using some technical tools, some of the universal Fibonacci levels, and all of these tools is just to measure, like a doctor or some mechanical guy which is looking what is going on in the car, how these swings will unfold, and well, potentially by doing these forms they might stop. And usually what they do is these extreme spots when you actually are turning the sentiment to the other polarity than it was here, which was very bearish. So so basically the chart on the Ethereum is the same. If you look also one thing in the Ethereum chart, we have to look Ethereum Bitcoin. So Ethereum Bitcoin was pretty bullish on the upside, as you can see. So what we can witness here is also a flat. So I think Ethereum, after a couple of corrections, will still stay the bullish between the Bitcoin, because this sequence is not finished, but not before this larger correction unfolds. Okay, so we might be also here in something like this. So wave 3 potentially might be already over. So if we go and put a wave 4 here and then a wave 5, so we can also say that we might experience the same move down in the Ethereum chart. So Ethereum suddenly drops to these levels and then continues on the upside. So I think that in general, we are going to see Ethereum going much higher than a Bitcoin, but Bitcoin in the next bull run will definitely also go sizably well as the things are standing now. So I will conclude with Ethereum. I think it's a same wave structure as in Bitcoin. I think there is two extreme points, as I pointed out, what might happen also with Ethereum. So be aware of that point, which will actually portray a pretty negative sentiment, and that will be the time where actually the trend will change. I'm going to keep my, I will say, not modesty, but conservative stance that we are for now most likely in triangle, so sideways consolidation. I prefer that over this extreme scenario, but if you think about it, here at this point market will definitely drop um, a bearish a black sentiment on cryptos. Everybody will give up. They will say cryptos are worthless, they're going to go down, blah blah blah. And if you think about it, actually this will be that point rather than this one here. So let's see what will unfold. Sorry, Simon.
Alex, given the two scenarios that you've painted, one is the more extreme, one is the more conservative, as you said. What is your percentage wise? Like, what would you rate each one likelihood?
Yeah, as I said, my conservative scenario is putting if the stocks corrects modestly and nothing really happens there, Fed makes one rate hike, which stocks can sustain. We are going to stay within this triangle, which will actually have a 33 to let's say 35 support levels, and then most likely we're going to see this, as Nadia and you are looking in astrology, this D wave up from end of January, beginning of February, which will be in 3 waves, but this will be the lowest point that we will reach in this sideways consolidation or this triangle, and this will be the lowest point we will see. So we are not going to reach, because this wave count or this form is invalidated, so it does not exist anymore if you cross this low here. So that's also a very important thing. So if we go below 28,722, this form we can actually erase, because you have some rules regarding the triangles, and if any price action in the C wave trades below the A wave, actually the pattern is invalidated, and then we will have to switch to the more catastrophic scenario for the time being. So I'm going to look this as a, let's say for now, more complex correction, which might have a little bit of sideways to the downside development. And this is the modest one. So this will be the wave down in W. We stopped at 40K. Now we also stopped at 40K. We might go a little bit more downside, go back in the other, because these wave structures in inside are consisted in 3 waves. So this will be a little bit lower wave A, up in B, down in C. End of January, we start to move up. And if you see these developments on the upside, then 90% probability this form will be confirmed. We might see a small push down before, and then around, let's say, April, March, depends how fast this develops, we will see a bull run further on the upside. So in
What's the number we need to hold then for this form to be in play?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
What's the price point we need to hold for the C not to get below the A?
Yeah, so this is the 28, but as you know, 30K is very strong support. So I would not like to see 30K taken out. The last price point is here at where you see this wave count invalidation, 28,644, 51.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I personally, as I said, I'm not going to be that in that respect catastrophic. I think we might meddle around. It's January, people still on vacations, all of this stuff. Maybe we're going to go a little bit more downside, 33, 35, 38K, some supports. You never know how these things will unfold in the respect of the lows. But if I see this, and this will be the crucial thing for me, the hold of 30K, reversal from 35, 38, 33K on the upside, piercing through 40K. So you have to understand one thing, wherever you see this price point in the past, piercing to 40K, we had some resistance levels here and support levels. So most likely we pierced here towards 40K, we came back, kiss it, and continue on the upside. The same thing might happen here as well, because 40K is immensely strong level, technically. So if we go down and we pierce again above the 40K, I don't think we're not gonna look back anymore below the 40K levels. We might climb up to 48.50, we come down to 40, we come up to, let's say, 50, 53, we come again to 40 one more time, and then we're going to continue on the upside. So this 40K will play immense role in the next couple of weeks, and I will advise you to watch it. As you can see, it is very strong level, and even if we go and test 30K, I will not do anything from my part. I'm telling you my opinion. Maybe put a small longs with a very small risk. But for me, the main thing will be that the price again climbs up above 40K. And that will be my final confirmation that most likely this correction is over and we're going to continue on the upside. So
Awesome.
this will go well with your February, end of January prediction in astrology that we are potentially going to see the upside reversal and actually this D wave unfolding above this 40K. So 40K, very, very key level, very crucial level. 30K, of course, but if you are looking this modest conservative case, we will not go to 30K. We will stop before and actually reverse pierce through 40K, and then that will be the last levels. The Bitcoin will actually trade below 40K in the next let's say year, because all other of 2022 might be very bullish. In the other scenario, that's a different thing. So if we have the flat, I'll have to deal with it, especially as regards of the price. I mentioned sentiment several times, and I think that's a key word where actually the sentiment will become disaster for the crypto holders, and where actually everything will be black. That will be around between 20 and 22K. And that will mean actually that either 40K or 30K will hold. We're going to get more directional small bounces here and actually piercing through these levels almost very easily. And that will be the sign that this is actually flat is going on. So as you can see, the analysis and potential risk points are a step-to-step process. And that is because people will say that Elliott is subjective. But I'm just going to say it's not, because one of the very reasons you have these fractals. So many of these forms are consistence of the same fractals. So by combining these fractals can actually change shape of these forms. And that is the problem that people have with Elliott. You need a lot of practice and mistakes to be able to recognize how these shapes and forms might actually change. But there is not much of them, so with a little bit of clarity, you might narrow down actually the patterns that might unfold. As I narrowed it down from 4, now there is only 2 left that might unfold, and I'm going to go for a triangle for now.
I love it. You know, it's a very similar thing in Jyotish, in astrology as well. You see indications for different things to happen. So there's a question, what's the astrology? The big picture is that there are 2 scenarios. One is where January 15th or April 15th, Bitcoin does a big, a big move up. But then the other scenario was Jupiter is transiting Bitcoin's part of fortune, Yogi Point and Moon, starting in May. And that's a no-brainer for, any cryptos we've seen where Jupiter is transiting those points. They've always had a bull run. They've always had a massive, 100, 200, 300, 400% gain. So I don't think it'll be any different for Bitcoin. And that's what was kind of confusing me. The question was when to take profits, because May, Jupiter's transit over Bitcoin's moon in May looks very good. But then there was some indications for a run earlier than that. So if it plays out that the bull run doesn't fully kick in until a little bit later, then that's fine. That does play out to that scenario. But in either scenario, I think Bitcoin is hitting 100K easily this year. In fact, my prediction, and I'm not just saying that as an opinion, I think astrologically it's kind of bound to happen, I think. And originally, I think before the end of June, it could hit 100K. So that's where I stand on it at the moment. Let me do some more digging. To be honest, I have not looked at Bitcoin's chart. It's been a couple of weeks. But yeah.
Yeah, May sounds very good to these time ratios as you look them, and also whatever of this form is, also look this RSI. If we start to move lower, piercing through this, this also might on a weekly level coincide with the lows some around, let's say April, May, with this Jupiter Moon transit is happening. But in that case, you will see a lot of downside prices, and this is a life-changing entries, guys, and that's why it's so hard. I mean, imagine you enter here at 22K and Bitcoin goes up to 100, 150, 160K. I mean, that's a life-changing event. So this is not given so easily. We might have seen some crypto moves on the upside in Shiba and especially Dogecoin, but people was ramping at me the Dogecoin is going to go bullish and blah blah blah, and I was specifically bearish on the Dogecoin for a whole 2021, and I still think it's bearish. So in that respect, that's why it's so hard, because the percentage wise, you will see the biggest run in cryptos most likely when this consolidation is finished. Okay, so from 22K, you will go, I don't know, 10 times in a price in Bitcoin, or 8, or in other cryptos even more. So I think that's how the markets operates, where it becomes very difficult to climb on the trend, where the couple of legs already passed. And as I said, watch out the sentiment, watch out the news. You will see if we are going to see this unfolding down to these levels.
Thank you for choosing Dish. Para español, oprima 8.
Yeah, some commercials. Okay. Yeah, guys, well, I mean, Simon, I'm open to any questions or comments. So if you guys like to comment and discuss, would you like to join? I will be. Hello,
I see an account with an address.
Simon.
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute that. Yes, go ahead. Anyone with questions?
Just Alex, one question here quickly from my end. So yeah, thanks for all the presentation in here and all this number crunching that you have shown. The only thing that
Sorry to stop you. I think more than numbers, it's more that you should take this psychological and pay attention on that, because this will be the most important thing. It's how this psychologically will affect people. So
yes,
I'm stressing again, please watch on that if we get these exuberant levels on the downside. So sorry to interrupt you, just want to emphasize that one more for other people. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yes. So basically what we saw last time in November, you know, when the market went very above, like we reached the high 67K, and, you know, exactly now after 1.5 months, we are almost down a lot. So do we see something happening that in a shorter time frame, like maybe in March, some people are saying we are going to hit a bull run, and then we suddenly go till 67 and 68, and then again we see a downtrend. But the question is, do we see a huge downtrend, or do we see a downtrend like we are seeing now at the moment?
Yeah, I think I touched upon that subject. According to these two forms, you will see something happening. Let me just find this um, chart here. You will see not exactly move up to 64K, but more like 54, 55K, around something around those lines during this end of January. And as I said, pay attention on this 40K. You can review this webinar because it's going to be recorded, and I think it's going to be very crucial for this 40K, because if we penetrate 40K from here, then the other scenario will be written off, and most likely we will not see for considerable time move down below 40K again. So I will not say we will go up again towards 64K. That will actually drone us and expand this correction much more larger in time, which is not going to be so in correspondence for it. So imagine we go up for the next 6 months to 64K and we come down. This will expand this time ratio and this correction much longer, even towards 2023. Okay, so I really don't think that will happen. I do think that this will be very surprising, especially if we do a triangle. If the stock market moves down, and potentially, as I said, that we might witness something that we never saw before, which I was really thinking that might not happen. But if we see something more exuberant on the stock market, there might be some type of investors that will seek coverage into a Bitcoin or other cryptos as the safe haven, which was unimaginable up to now. I'm just going to show you one more chart where I think you might find support for this. I'm going to show you the chart of gold, which is usually plays a role as a hedge regarding inflation. I published that also, and the chart of gold is also pretty very telling from my perspective. It is also in consolidation like in Bitcoin. Okay, so as you can see, there is nothing impulsive, and when we do analysis of this, is just a sideway or another pause before we go on the upside. There is also one more option. We can pierce this to support going a little bit lower, $100, but whole wave structure on the gold looks very bullish towards 2022. So in general, this would correspond also with the Bitcoin mimicking actually the gold bull run on the upside and dollar move lower. So there is a couple of cross assets classes which are depicting the same scenarios with a small caveats of $100 difference, but nevertheless, the structure and psychology in the gold pattern is also very corrective, which means that the gold as a Bitcoin might continue further on the upside towards above 2000. So I will say that I do follow correlated markets from this macro perspective, and many of them actually points out that some of commodities with some corrective moves first lower will gain on the upside, which will be dollar negative, gold, silver, and a couple of other metals positive, as well as a couple of other currencies, and that might be Bitcoin in the mix as well. So I do see also, I didn't mention that, a couple of correlated markets which agrees with this overall analysis. So I don't think we will go again to 64 and move down. I think this consolidation is already taking enough time, especially if we go down to April, May, which corresponds around, let's say, having this E wave down after a move on the upside. So this is a very clear situation from these 2 points I explained. If this unfolds like this, so it is very simple. You should watch 32, 33. If we pierce back towards 40K on the upside, that will mean that most likely there is a big probability that we are not going to look back towards below 40K. This small correction might go and check 40K again and then continue on the upside. So I will not agree with that assessment, if I can be precise.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate it. I'll just reiterate what I said in the beginning because I think a lot of people weren't here when we started. We started a little bit earlier just for the sake of time. That I had Nadia. Nadia did pull a Prussian actually on her own, and she and I will also put our heads together and look at the two scenarios that Alex just pointed out. I feel like the first scenario, the more positive one, is the more likely, but we'll take a look and let you know. But she did do her analysis. She felt that Bitcoin would go down below 40 in January, but then the first week of February, it would begin a strong climb up. So that's her analysis. And if you remember, you know, she gives her 2 cents here and there. And way back in September, when Bitcoin was in the mid to high 60s, she said it would get below 50, and before it came back up. So she's been pretty right on. So I'll check with her again. I'll take a closer look at Bitcoin, the 2 or 3 charts that we look at, and we'll come up with a definitive astrological outlook. But either way, I do think we're getting to 100K this year, probably, you know, certainly before the end of the year. I think before the end of June.
Yeah,
That's my
just
view.
yeah, just to mention a couple of a few things more, Simon. You can just look a couple of correlated cryptos, which definitely do mimic the Bitcoin price chart. So this is a Binance coin, and the pattern is still definitely not over from this perspective. So this is just a consolidation, the same as in Bitcoin and before. As you can see, the pattern is still not finished. So it might get exuberant to the downside as in Ether, but I have a very clear price points of these two scenarios where this might be completed. So also, if you look Matic and a couple of others, also Dogecoin looks like in a fourth wave consolidation. If you look the whole chart, I don't really see looking all of these charts in many of these crypto markets, which has uncompleted wave structures, that we are done with the upside. The upside will last a couple of more years, and you should also look that many of these cryptos, which I mentioned already a year ago, will decouple from Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin continues to play the store of value role, and this is not going to change. Bitcoin, if we don't see any drastic world events, a collapse of a complete finance and banking system, Bitcoin will not become a currency, because you cannot see a government which will hand out monetary and fiscal policy in the hands of Bitcoin. That's unrealistic to hope. China is already rolls out its app for CBDC, or a central bank currency. They might also issue blockchain-based digital currencies with the smart contracts on it. So the Bitcoin in that respect will get competition. So I don't see Bitcoin becoming a worldwide currency like it was envisioned. I see it more to stay in a store of value in these crazy times and digital transformation that we are. And I think it's going to keep that role. So you should also count that many of these cryptos will decouple from the price, which we see in these pockets in Metaverse and NFT, which had a fabulous runs on the upside despite Bitcoin moving lower. So in that respect, I do see on these many charts that patterns are not done, and that we have more upside, which agrees with the overall, for the current, still tied Bitcoin correlation with the crypto markets. But you can see, for example, Matic, this drop is very sizably lower in a sense of price than on Bitcoin. So people won't sell Matic, as you can see here. They don't want also to sell a couple of other coins. They're holding them. So I don't see these trends to be over. I just trying to see where these corrections will finish. And to repeat again, I'm still looking on a couple of years more of the upside. We might have one more move down here. Depends also sideways in a year or two when this bull run completes. And that will be also just a pause. So if you look all of these charts, I don't know, I don't really see. The only chart which scares me is Luna charts. Okay, so I will just mention that. I don't know if this will unfold, so don't take me. I will really put a question mark, but I do see a 5-wave developments here, and this scares me a hell out of me in regards of Luna chart. So if you see weekly RSI, if you see some fib ratios, if you see the wave count, if I see 5 waves down in Luna, down to here, and that's of course is a condition for this, what I'm saying, you can pretty much be sure that Luna, for I don't know what reason, might actually test these levels before we further continue on the upside. I know it sounds pretty much incredible. We come back to 10, but that is conditioned. We see a drop in 5 waves after this 5-wave move, which will depict actually a correction and which will agree with this RSI. So be careful if you're holding Luna, not now, just if this starts to be exuberant. First levels of the support are at 24 and the second one are at around 675. So just pay attention on this, because this chart looks scary, but it still didn't confirm this possible outcome. So just be aware if something like this, that also might be a generational or a lifetime entry if this type of things happen. So except Luna, Sand is also looking very good. I think very promising. People doesn't want to actually sell sands. If you look, it still looks very, very kind of a small selling here. And RSI is dropping. We might have a little bit more downside as these things in crypto with a couple of months settling, and then maybe Sand will continue on the upside. And there is a couple of more which has a bullish wave structure. So I will just say, for the time being, if you you don't have bearish positions on any of these cryptos, it is the time to take a rest and just watch this couple of scenarios and be prepared to react when this sentiment actually tells us. So that's, of course, my point of view. That's how I look at it, and that's how I will position myself according to everything which I have told you tonight.
Those are two great tips, Aleks. So watch out on the downside for Luna, which, you know, seems incredible. And then certainly watch for a massive upside for the sandbox.
Yeah, when the conditions are met, of course, when we go through this purge, and when this crypto market starts to recover, and we see a larger inflow, when the market actually will hope, or not hope, will actually give up on cryptos in the worst case scenario. In the triangle scenario, that will be more modest, and we will see this inflow slowly coming in the next couple of months, and then actually starts to pick up pretty sizably, as you said, from April, May of 2022, and going sizably up. So I'm not telling you anything, guys, that I'm not telling my members, and I'm publicly, I just go a little bit in more details for you, but at least a lot in more details for you guys. I don't give that much out for the public webinars. I do spoke with my members with this type of details. So in that respect, I'm going to behave the same. So I'm not giving you anything which is my predictions or my thoughts. I'm going to follow these patterns as the rules of the game.
Oh, I think you're on pause, Aleks. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? No. Are you there? I think what one of Alex's points is very good, which is that whatever the sentiment is, the whales, the people really behind the scenes who have massive, massive amounts of crypto and can move the markets, they always tend to pull the rug under you. right? You think, oh, we're definitely going 100K, boom, they drop the market, right? They dump Bitcoin. Or you think, man, it can't get any worse than this. And now all of a sudden, you know, they dump it even more. They stomp you out of the market, right? Their job is to make you feel so exhausted that you don't want to do anything. And that's when they move the market to their ends. Like, for example, there's been some news where the Saudi, you know, people who manage Saudi money have said that the Saudis in their billions and billions of dollars are looking to get into crypto. Well, they're not going to buy it at 60,000. They're going to want to move the market as low as possible, and then put, you know, $50 billion into it, you know, for their benefit. So then they pump the market. And I'm using that just as an example because I saw that on I forget whose channel I saw it on, but it's you know, it's positive bullish news. But people like that know what they're doing, and they're going to want to get the best sale prices. So for those of us who believe in this and who believe this is life-changing and opportunity, we just have to hold on. And fortunately, the astrology gives us some clues. Sometimes we can't read the charts perfectly, but what the charts are telling me is that we are still in the bull run. This is what Aleks is confirming for us here as well. We are still in a bull run. Bull run's not over. In fact, it's going to last probably into 2023. I do see Bitcoin at 100K easily. I made a wild prediction on YouTube that it could hit 300K this year. I'm waiting for that scenario to play out before I give my final judgment. I'll give it before the end of the month, but 100K for sure. I'm doubling down on that. So yeah, so we'll take a closer look, but keep in mind that these pullbacks, all markets are manipulated, but crypto markets especially tend to be run by the whales. And it's sad to say, you know, but that's been the evidence. And we just have to be aware, not get pushed around by them, and don't have leverage positions that can stop you out, you know, before you're able to take advantage of the good market. Anyway, not financial advice. I'm, you know, terrible at the financial stuff. My job is to give you any opportunities that I have access to, and some of those are introducing you to people like Aleks, but also the ICO deals that I'm working on, launching that group, so you guys have access to deals before they even come out. Obviously, there's risk in that as well, but there's also tremendous upside. So we're working on that and working on a couple other things. That's it for today. I did want to ask if anyone here knows of any good trading bots or people who make or program bots. I am really looking into this for 2022. I'd like to kind of set it and forget it kind of thing. I'm getting lazy in my old age and would like to set up a few bots and you know, and have them do the work. So if you guys have good experience with some bots there are free ones out there. There are ones that are paid memberships. Some are very expensive. Price really doesn't matter to me. It's results, right? Even if you have to pay 5-10 grand for a bot script, but it makes you that much, you know, in a few days, then, you know, it will have been worth it. So it's the results that matter. So if any of you guys know about that, shoot me an email and I'll look into that. All right. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to Aleks, even though I think he left us a bit early. But this was good, and we'll stay in touch. And yes, let us know about the bot. I'll pass on any info I get. And yeah, look for some news from me here in the next few days on a new Discord group that will give you guys access to some amazing deals. I'm looking to get that going. And I'll let you know if there's CQA class like this next week as well in a couple of days. Thanks, guys. Take care for now. Hope this was useful. Namaste. Namaste.